seconds before we start. Make sure the audio's all good. Yeah, we seem all good on the audio front. That's good to know. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to RFL for what is round number 5, I believe. Yeah, round number 5 at the Paul Ricard circuit. While we wait for drivers to come in, we may only have about 12 drivers this week. It's just me and my dulcet tones this week, due to my commentator, normal lead com, being a little bit busy this week with other things outside of real life. So as we're waiting for everything that to go through, we will go through the championship standings. So looking at all this, after last week, obviously, Scott with a very good weekend for himself is at the top of the standings. Scott W. Vapid breathing down his neck in second place, not too far behind in the Williams, just not too far behind Haas, 1 point. Para, obviously having missed a week and came back, who I believe is here this week. No, he's not at the moment. He may all be here at some point. He's on 29 points in the first of the Red Bulls. Antsman's back from his holiday. Hopefully he enjoyed that. He's in P4, so not dropped too far down, on 28 points. Angelissimo in P5. Sort of mixed start to the season for the Ferrari driver. Started to show his pace last week out in Great Britain, Silverstone. I believe he was in the podium last week. With TTM Pred, obviously not the best start for the season for him. Obviously he was up in second at one point in the opening few rounds of the season, up until the point of where obviously not the best weekend for himself in Bahrain, obviously with the ghosting system not exactly working to plan. Cal on the same amount of points as him, in 7th, and Adam Lee in 8th, 2 points behind those two. Kirby in 9th in the first of the Alpines at 13 points, tied with Checo and the other Aston Martin in 10th. So the two Americans very closely matched there in terms of that. Then it is Tom Gorian in 11th. Not the bit. He's obviously had an up and down season and missed a few races here and there. JDM, again a driver that's had some mixed fortunes so far this season. Wills obviously has been a come and gone from the league, so he's in 13th place with Xavier Leclerc in Xavier Leclerc in P14, obviously picking up 7 points from his first race, I believe, which was last week. He wasn't here last week, but he was here for the week before at Bahrain. And T is in 15th with Sofresh and Xavier Senna rounding out the point scorers. Obviously, looking at the stat, so from the constructors, we are looking at Red Bull on top in the standings after 4 rounds going into this week, with Williams not too far behind, only 7 points behind, with Haas even closer than that to Williams. Obviously, Vapid really the only big scorer, so fresh, needing to pull his socks up a little bit in terms of scoring a few more points and helping his teammate Vapid out. Aston Martin in P4, about 7 points behind Haas. Obviously a good pairing there, a good sort of consistent pairing. We'll see how they will do them well through the season, I do believe. Checo and Cal. I believe Checo is the only one here. I do not see Cal at the moment. Alpine in P5, obviously a mixed bag to start season for them. P6 Ferrari, 7th for McLaren. AlphaTauri is in 8th. Tied with Alfa Romeo for 8th place, 8th and 9th, but I believe AlphaTauri are a bit above on points difference. And then in P10, and at the back at the moment, is Mercedes, obviously struggling a little bit in terms of that. Obviously I'd come and gone with the drivers this season, but yeah. So yeah, welcome everyone to the stream who is here at the moment. As we're still just waiting for some drivers to be ready. We will probably be going racing sometime soon, of course, as per the usual format. We will have the 5-lap race. I believe there's some things in the works to be maybe changing some of these settings sometime soon. It'll be interesting to see how that actually turn out, and from what I've been hearing in the ideas chat, some ideas have been taken on board for that. 5-lap race, which decides the main grid, obviously a short qualifying session, 5-lap race, decides the main grid, the 50% race, which will be 27 laps around the Paul Ricard circuit. Obviously, a little bit about Paul Ricard while we're still waiting for the drivers to ready up and everyone to get into the lobby and wait for SoFresh to choose his car, is looking at the, obviously Paul Ricard is normally a testing circuit. Obviously, this is last year we will see Paul Ricard on the circuit, the calendar, due to the nature of it not providing all the greatest racing in the world for sort of real life stuff. I mean, it's an interesting one in terms of how it works for league racing. It's one of those tracks where you've got to be careful a little bit on your track limits due to the nature of the track not exactly being the most forgiving at points. We will find obviously throughout as we go through it that obviously the drivers are going to see that a lot of them may well struggle with corner cutting, and it may well come down at some points to penalties because the drivers are going to go over the limits at some points. Obviously hard wheel to wheel racing with each other means it's going to be a little bit of argy-bargy here and there potentially. Bear in mind also, since it is just me this week, I will try my best to get around as many of the battles as I can, but I can only do so much. So, but as we are getting ready to get underway, we will have the short qualifying session and 5-lap race to begin with. Obviously, certain names that were here last week is their first race. I believe Berserker Mark, who I know very well from another league, is part of the same team and in our league as well. Very quick driver, obviously learning, no assists I believe still. So still learning a little bit of the where you can push and where you cannot push. Same with Key One. He's also on no assists. So my teammate is in the reserve car in another league as well. As we have a dry session to begin with. We will get the details up on the screen. Obviously it will be soft as there's not really anything else you can really do in the qualifying sessions anymore, because unlike before last year when you could used to use a set of the medium compound tyres in quali, it's all soft tyres this year. Obviously as well, if you're new in the streams, you will know also that the tyres you qualify on in the top 10 are not the tyres that you go into the main session with anymore. Obviously, regulation changes. I believe XCR Senna is going to be your first car out onto the track. So we'll go on with the Mercedes driver. Give us a little bit of hope to see what the young Scot can do. Obviously, son of, well, I believe actually there's another car just out further ahead. We'll have to see who that was that just left in front. I believe it was Scott W in the Haas, who was just out in front. Obviously, did very, very well last week. I believe he did score a good haul of points last week, if I'm correct. I'm going to have a quick look at standings just to be entirely sure that that's exactly what it was. That has not been updated since round 1. Okay. Good to know. Spending the just finding something for later on. As we see Scott W warming his tyres up in the Haas, we will take us around the lap of this Paul Ricard circuit. As we go around, obviously, unlike Silverstone, obviously not quite as much heritage to this track as per what you would expect, as he's letting someone go through. I believe that was XCR Senna, so Senna will be the first one to take us round. So it will be the protege of, well, XCR Button, as many people know him as, who will be taking us through the action, taking us through the first lap. So found the final corner, obviously still learning the game himself, but here we go. DRS will be open, as you will be seeing drivers will either stay to the left or stay to the right as we head down towards turn number 1. Almost 200 miles an hour, just over 203 miles an hour as we head into turn number 1. Got to be careful not to cut too much of the inside curb there and the outside curb there. As you go over the line on the outside there, that will invalidate your laps. You know, head into the first sector. Very important not to touch too much of these curbs either, because it is the same case as well for the track limits. Not exactly being the most liberal around here, so good first sector for the Mercedes driver. Obviously it won't be the quickest the sector times we will see, but it will be the banker time that will be put down. So the DRS wide open, so the DRS, obviously the straight separated by, the Michel straight obviously separated by the chicane for the F1 layout, not for any other layout though. It's going to head into the little cutout, the little chicane in between the two straights, so this is where you will see people, if people make mistakes coming out of here, you will see people may well potentially make moves into that, coming out of that corner. You can go side by side here if you have enough space left by the car who you are side by side with. Senna, 9 minutes, coming through to complete his first lap. A little bit wide, so we'll be looking to find a little bit of time. I don't know why he's already run out of energy. I think he's had it on a hot lap throughout the main bit of the out lap, which has not really helped him. However, this is going to be helping the car behind, who is indeed Scott W, who will get a good tilt from behind. However, he's going to have a bit of an issue with dirty air, which obviously means that Scott, oh, that's a little bit wide there, so we're going to go and wide from Scott as well, so that's obviously an invalidation there from Scott. And we'll have to see who was going to be next. Senna does set the first lap time, he puts first lap time on the board. Obviously had a little bit of an issue there with that there. NT, I believe, has just started in a lap, indeed he just has. I wonder if it's Adam Lee. Adam Lee's also just started. Kirby will be the next runner to come around and complete a lap in the Alpine. Obviously the only Alpine here this week, no, we have both Alpines actually. We have Tom Gorin as well here this week, hopefully looking to make an impression, obviously having been away for a race. Kirby looking to see, he will probably set a quicker time than Senna on his first run. So here comes the Alpine driver, Zansmas, did actually miss that, 130.7, fastest lap from him. Where can Kirby put himself on in relation? 31.8. P3 at the moment. Key1 pops himself in at P3 as well, 32.1. Would expect a little bit of a pace improvement from him. Let's see, there's Adam Lee. He's still in the middle sector at the moment. So Vapid is a little bit further back. So I believe it will be NT who will be going around and setting the next lap time in the Red Bull. Obviously the only Red Bull here this week, because Para, the quicker of the two Red Bulls, is not around this week. So we'll have to see how NT does on his own. Obviously NT he's had a mixed bag start to the season, obviously mixed results in terms of the second Red Bull driver, in terms of the points scored. But I believe he is in a battle for certain positions, as was said at the beginning of the session, the beginning of the race. There we go. As NT will be the next one across the line, choosing to stay to the right, unlike the Alpine driver, so we'll stick to the left. NT goes P4. Will be Adam Lee, who is backed off. So we're going to see Vapid just cross the line next. What's it going to be for Vapid? 31.3, so he pops himself in at P2. See if Berserker Mark, he's in Berserker Mark in the Alpha Tower. He is currently coming in to complete his lap. I believe Scrub is just further behind. Yes, he is. He's only in the first sector at the moment. So Tom Gorin, I believe, has invalidated on his first lap, so he's coming around potentially to finish his second lap. Indeed, he is. Hopefully hoping to put a better lap time on the board. The Alpine driver opens the DRS up to the line. 31.2, puts himself ahead of Vapid. Berserk Mark, we'll go back to Berserk Mark, coming across the line now. It's going to be P7. Good lap there from him. We're going to see where is Scrub about. Scrub in the Mercedes. Much more conservative driver, as we seen last week. Didn't exactly come at best with the strategy that he decided to go for in Silverstone. We'll be looking for some redemption this week out in Paul Ricard, but obviously Paul Ricard much less likely to really see safety cars around here due to the nature of the track being a lot wider and a lot more runoff areas. Not really my favourite track, if I'm being honest about that. This one, Scrub goes P5. Let's see, where is Checo? He's invalidated, so we're going to have to go back to Senna. Still going around. Yes, he is, but he's not improving on his laps at the moment. NT's going around again. No, NT has come into the pits. So Scott has come back out again, obviously after what happened on his first run, obviously with Senna just in front, not exactly knowing what was going on with the Mercedes driver, so have to see. Obviously 13 drivers, not the most ideal of things, but obviously it should mean that they should be a little bit more calm than what it normally would be. As there's another little bit of a running wave moment from Checo. I believe he's letting somebody go through up. That could be Berserk marking our lap, I'm not sure. Could potentially be. Nope, Berserk mark is coming to the pits. So it won't be that. As I believe Adam Lee's only in the middle sector at the moment. So it will be Scott W. So the most amount of points. So we'll have to see if Scott can actually get a decent lap in. This time around in the Haas, obviously, first lap a little bit compromised by the Mercedes of next year's Senna. So we'll see how Scott can actually do this time. Obviously he'll be a little bit out of sync with everyone else, being able to do one sort of less flying lap. Does have a couple of cars obviously out laps in front of him. We have Ansmaz and Kirby, who are out just in front, so hopefully the McLaren and the Alpine are courteous and do not get in the way of Scott. So we'll really see what Scott can actually do now, because obviously Scott has been one of the drivers that the first 2 races or so we didn't fully see what he could do, but as his time has gone on, obviously Bahrain and Silverstone being 2 races I would single out as being very good races for the Haas driver. Obviously his teammate not being here this week, and so he is carrying the flag for the team this week. And trying and get a little bit closer to the car, the thing in front, as there is a Mercedes in front. I believe that is Senna. He's done 4 laps on those tyres, but I believe he will be coming in pretty soon, as those tyres probably won't be in the best at their best anymore. Scott W is coming around to complete his first proper lap on the board. Obviously did not set the time due to the nature of the lap being invalidated in the final corner. A little bit wide there. You got to be careful that the track limits decide not to bite you for stuff like that, because you never know with this game where you're going to get track limit penalties and when you're not. It's just kind of one of those things that it's a little bit of taking liberties with it to a point, if you must. As here comes Scott. This should be a better time from, yep, much better time. 130.248, only 8,000 of a second slower than Tom Gorian. Next car to cross line was going to be Adam Lee. Obviously Adam Lee, a very quick driver, but is known for his temperament not always being the best. So if you can keep his temperament reined in, he can do very well. Have noticed. As there comes Adam Lee across the line, P4, 131.3. Comes himself into P4. Good lap there from him, and Kirby I believe was next, although it could be Kirby, it could be Ansmaz. Ansmaz hasn't validated, so we're going to go back to Kirby, who was I believe next up, as NT is only in the first sector. Obviously, people have mixed opinions about Paul Ricard in terms of how it really flows, because the fact of it is really, when you think about it, a testing track, and it probably will just go back to being a testing track sort of thing for tyres and such for Pirelli, because obviously we won't be seeing it again next year on the 2023 calendar. So a few people will be happy about that, because it's not the best track, as we say, for racing. As Kirby, and meanwhile, as we're just wavering away in the background, is about to cross the start finish line to set his next time on the board. What's it going to be? 131.2, puts himself P2, so good lap there from him. Running just started, so we're going to go and find where Ansmaz is. He was invalidated again, so that's an unfortunate case there for him. Going marginally up on his time. We'll come back to it and see how he's getting on. NT a bit further on the lap. He's half a second, nearly 6/10 up. He puts himself up to P7 and the Red Bull. So Fresh, I believe, is on a lap as well. I don't know if he's on. Yep, he's only in the middle sector at the moment. So Fresh is in the Red Bull. So he did not pick a car. He should be in the Williams. So he will score his points for Williams. As we'll believe, we're going to go back to Tom Gorian. I believe Tom Gorian will be next to cross the start finish line, or it could be NT, who's maybe coming back in, who knows. So 5.5 minutes of the session remaining. It will be interesting to see how it all shapes up, obviously, as track evolution becomes more and more of a thing. With the weather, obviously, no idea on the weather conditions, so You can either leave me with a bit of guessing work here, or you can be a gentleman and tell me what the weather for the weekend actually is. As Tom Gordon is going to be coming across the finish line. Third and fourth at the moment for the two Alpines. Where it's going to be for Tom Gordon. P2 jumps himself up again ahead of Vapid. Obviously, these two not always known for having the having a little bit go at each other. I believe Checo is actually not sure what happened there with Checo. I believe Checo has had a bit of an issue. So I believe Antsmans has gone back in the pits. Vapid is down in his time, so he will not be improving on this lap. Aston Martin victory incoming from Cal in the chat. I'm guessing you're not racing for other reasons tonight, Cal. Fair enough if you're not. I can understand. I mean, real life is really think something's more important as Vapid is indeed coming into the pits. We're going to find Scrub. Scrub is down in his first sector time, so not at the moment. Where's Key in the Key one on the racetrack? Key is currently in P9. Key obviously in your car for this week, Cal. So do it proud, as Senna has invalidated. Checo's gone back into the pits, so we're going to go back and find Scrub. Scrub has been validated in the middle sector, very easy to do that there. So we'll go back to Key 1. Antsman's coming back out for his final lap, probably a little bit earlier. Key 1 has also invalidated, so at the moment I'm just finding everyone who's managed to invalidate on their laps. So Fresh is coming back in. Yes, he is. Where is everyone in relation? Adam Lee is at the first sector, just before the first sector. Antsman's just ahead, so we'll stick on board with Antsman's for just now. He's just about to come around the start actually, so fair enough, Gal. Understandable then. As we're about to see Antsman's obviously currently on pole position. Let's see if he can improve. Obviously we've seen the glimpse of when he did have an invalidated lap. He was about 3.5 tenths up on his best time, which is currently the fastest lap in the session. Oh, seems just an innocuous mistake really there from Antsman's, considering that he's struggling there. It looks like he just he realised he had more grip than he actually realised he had, and just cut too far into the inside and invalidated on that first lap. So that's unfortunate there for Antsman's. He has to go round again and try and go and see if he can set a better time. Adam Lee, who's now down to 6th, is going to be the next one to come around and start a lap. We have about 2 minutes 15 left in this qualifying session. If you're in the chat at the moment, Cal, just give us some predictions. Obviously you like doing some predictions in terms of your video work. If you don't know as well, Cal does do video stuff. Cal17F1 on YouTube. A little bit of a shout out for you there, Cal. It'd be interesting to see. Sorry about that. Someone in the room I was talking to. We have Adam Lee. Oh, you can do that. It does slow you down a little bit, but you can do that, as now we will see cars now starting to come round and come out for their final laps. Just about 1 minute 25 left in the session. I don't know why I'm low energy today. I'm a little bit less, as I say, talk a little bit more than usual, because obviously I'm just, as there is a Red Bull slightly in the way there of Adam Lee. Ahead Adam Lee, maybe trying to use it for a little bit of slipstream, potentially. Indeed he is, he's trying to be a little bit cheeky there, as Adam Lee is 0.025 up on his middle sector time. It is a purple middle sector. Not sure how much of that I actually believe, as we also do have, I believe that is Antsman's, who's currently in the first sector. That is a... Adam Lee, I think, is still struggling a little bit with the retraction. I think he is still learning no traction himself. So he will need to go again. He does have time. As Antsman's has also spun. Antsman's doesn't have time. Oh, that's unfortunate. For him there's Vapid has just started on a lap here, heading down towards turn 1. We will have, I believe that is NT coming around to start on his laps, or or this week the pseudo Red Bull driver, So Fresh. It's going to be interesting. If anyone in the chat wants to put their predictions on where people will what the qualifying result will be, because we're about to go into the deadlines of the session. That is going to be it for NT and Key1. It's going to be 7th and 9th for Key1 at best. Not exactly the best place you want to be starting, considering it's a little bit further down on the grid. As there's going to be a lot of traffic. Vapid is going to get a little bit of slipstream from Antsmaz. Antsmaz obviously not going to be able to set a quicker time. As we have a Red Bull, I believe, coming up to finish a lap. I believe that might be that might be So Fresh, who sets a 33.5. I believe that was an improvement on his lap time, as where can Vapid put his car? I believe the car behind him is I believe the car in front of me, I believe Tom Gorian might be a bit further in front. Indeed he is. Vapid not too far behind him in that car. Not Vapid will be the first one across the finish line actually. Scratch that. Here Antsmaz has retired from the session. Scott only, the best he can do is P3. It's going to be P3 as well, P4 for Scott rather, P3 for Vapid. Where can Tom Gordon put himself? It is going to be a 130.9, gets close but not enough. It's going to be Scrub who's going to be the final car come round and finish on finish the final lap with Cal saying I'll go for Tom for winning the sprint. Good, I'd say it's a good call, that one. Tom Gorian has had the pace to keep with Antsmaz for a little bit of that as Scrub puts himself into P7. And I believe that is your lineup. So Fresh is in the pits. And that is everything for that, as we will now line up for the grid sequence for the 5-lap race. So obviously looking at the pace, obviously, as we see that there is So Fresh finally retiring from the qualifying session. Robert we're on board with, finished in P7. So your grid rundown for the sprint 5-lap race. It will be Antsmaz on pole position. His first lap was all he needed. Could not improve on his time after that. Spun and invalidated on the other laps. Tom Gorian is P2, just under 2.5 tenths back in the Alpine on the front row, shared with Antsmaz. Third and fourth is going to be Vapid and Scott. The two drivers also very close together in terms of pace. Then it is Kirby and Adam Lee, 5th and 6th. Scrub and NT, 7th and 8th. Not actually seen those two race against each other yet, so going to be interesting to see how those two get on against each other. Key1 apparently, who's not set a time on any tyres at all, is in P9, good one game. And Checo in P10 makes it a 9th and 10th for the Aston Martins, with Berserker, Mark, So Fresh and Senna rounding off the grid. As we will now go into the 5-lapper race. Drivers will have a little bit of time. Obviously no formation lap on the 5-lapper race. We go straight into it, so the tyres are going to be a little bit of an issue into the first corner. So we'll be interested to see how some of the drivers get on with it, but hopefully I believe as I say, immersive formation. It is very cloudy. That is interesting to note. We're going to have a quick look at the tyres. If I could actually see the tyres, that would be nice. It is soft. Okay, it is just very cloudy, that's all. I believe also, and Cal's going main race, main GP, and victory followed by Scott and Checo. Oh, man, Checo did have some well, I mean, I think I commentator cursed Checo last week because he was doing very well and then ended up picking up a penalty at some point. That's how a lot of drivers were caught out last week in Silverstone last week. Just some of the track limits, just very late on. Obviously, with battling, you don't really think about the track limits as much, but it is something. It's a factor you need to think about. But we'll be going at 21:30. So we have about 4 minutes or so for everyone to deal with everything they need to do. Get any refreshments, etc. If you need to get any refreshments before you come back and rejoin the stream, this is your time to go and do it now, because we should see some very good racing coming up in the next few minutes or so. as the countdown timer times down to the start of the 5 lap race. Obviously, the no formation lap, we go straight into it. Welcome back, everyone. Haven't got everything obviously for the races ahead, as we will be heading, I believe, straight into it. Yep, I believe so. As we will be under. Oh wait, it still says waiting for players. Let's get all the info up on screen while we wait. As Tom is defending from Vapid, trying to go down the inside of turn 1. Scott's around the outside, and that's going to be the inside for the next corner. They still go side by side. Scott is going to have the inside line for the next corner. Vapid using a little bit of his battery, trying to get round the outside. Will keep it round the outside. Scott's going to have the inside line for the next corner. Haas up the inside. Vapid may well have to give up the pace here. Kirby just behind, looking at these two here. Looks like Scott's lost a little bit of ground. Kirby using a little bit of the battery to try and get past. Vapid does a switchback, tries to get back past, does indeed get the pass done. Kirby is looking for the move down the inside. Still 7-10 team leaders at the moment. Very close between these guys here. NT, and I believe that is Checo has gone down the leaderboard. As Checo's got a 2-second time penalty. Going back here as we still have Kirby side by side with Adam Lee. Adam Lee gets the move done into, I believe that's Senior. That corner is going down the inside. He does get the job done. Adam Lee now trying to look at the back of Scott. This is the gaps at the front have all kind of stayed about the same, apart from this battle for what is P3. At the moment it is battle for P3 down to about P6 at the moment. Kirby staying close just behind, thinking about a move into this corner. You can make the move into this corner if you can catch the car in front. Napping as here comes Scott to go down, using a little, potentially keeping onto the battery at the moment. Antsman's with the fastest lap of the race, 1.4 ahead of Tom. Vapid is close, not as a second as well back, gets himself into a second. Adam Lee looking very punchy. The moment Scott is a little bit further back. Scott has used a little bit of battery, keep the Alfa Romeo just behind at the moment. As we have battles going on further down, I believe we also have Kiwon and XNT25 trying to go side by side further back. These conditions, we may well have some weather, however we're going to go back as Kirby had, I believe Kirby is, I think Scott has been spun off one of the curbs. He's dropped down, so that's unfortunate for the Haas driver. He's gonna have to do some work in the main race, or have to claw back some positions. Kiwon trying to make a move on NT in the Red Bull. Those two close as well. Half a second as well between Adam Lee and Kirby. That battle there is thinned out a little bit. Scrub and Berserker Mark going side by side. Scrub gets the move done on Berserker Mark. It looks like Senna's got Checo behind him just as Scott and So Fresh not had a good start. Scott down 8 positions off the start. I think I missed it as well. NT has been passed by the Aston Martin of Kiwon, and I believe Scrub is going to have a go pretty soon, as it's a little wide from NT. Scrub thought about it, but the door was closed. As here comes Scrub to maybe go for a move. He's not going to be close enough though. We're going to go back to the battle at the front. Vapid is toesed up on Tom. Tom does not have the pace, or has made a mistake to Antsman. As we have a yellow at the back, I believe that is So Fresh who has made a mistake right at the back of the field there. So Fresh not having the best of times. Vapid looking at the moment, looking good to maybe get past. DRS will be enabled this lap. Tom's going to have to use the battery, however we're going to go back on board with NT and Scrub. NT is going to get the DRS, probably coming off this corner. However, Berserker Mark is in this at the back as well. We're going to come back to this in just a minute. However, no, we're not, as here comes Berserker Mark using the battery down the inside. I believe there's may well potentially be some damage for NT right there, as it remains about the same. Vapid not able to get past. I'm going on the Mistral straight as we have a yellow at the back once again. That is So Fresh, who's still not having the most amount of fun. So we're going to go back to the front as we see Vapid, who is closing up to the back of Tom Gorin once again. Tom Gorin looking to try and get himself away from the very quick charging Williams car that is behind him. as here comes, Tom makes a little bit of mistake once again, as So Fresh has retired. I believe though we probably won't see any safety cars due to the shortness of the race. The RS is enabled. We're going to go on board with Tom. Let's see, look at the rear view, the rear mirror, as here comes Adam Lee as well. That is a great run Adam Lee trying to go round the outside, nothing doing there. We're going to go back to Vapid. Vapid at the moment is currently in the middle of all of this battling. Vapid needs to attack, but then he also needs to defend with the right amount of both, because being too aggressive will cost him a position to Adam Lee. However, if he's not careful enough, he may well lose a lot of ground to Tom Gorian. Tom Gorian, however, is now, we're going to see a great view there as there's Scott with the time penalty as well. We are seeing the time penalties too coming out, as Tom Gorian is going to the inside to cover. Here comes Vapid. Going to go back to Vapid. It's not going to matter for Tom, is it? Nope, it's a little wide. However, he keeps hold of the position. Adam Lee just watching brief at the back of this train. Scott has got past Senna for P10. 8 tenths of a second to catch up to Checo for what is P9. As it looks like Vapid trying to shape up a move, trying to maybe put the Alpine of Tom Gorian out of position. Does not manage to do so. As Adam Lee still looking close as well. Kirby as well is bringing himself back, so this group has reformed. Adam Lee, I believe, has picked up a time penalty, so this is going to cost him in this group. Kirby knows that he doesn't have to do all that much as we come onto the final lap of the sprint race. Very, very courteous in terms of the driving here as Anspas in a whirl of his own up front, a 131.6. It's going to be defensive for Tom Gorian, however he's not covered enough of the inside. Vapid does decide to back off, obviously for obvious reasons. Tom Gorian probably wanted him to go down at the inside there so he can get the DRS. Kirby now picks up a time penalty. Adam Lee senses a move could be possible. The light was flashing for ERS on the Williams driver of Vapid Cook, as we have once again, I believe that is Checo. Scott once again has slid back down to 11th. I think he has spun again or had contact, as here comes Vapid. He's going to be making a move once again. The Serpentine down the straight from Tom Gorian, trying to shake the slipstream. Here comes Vapid. The ERS light, they have nothing in terms of ERS left. Vapid around the outside, space left. Tom Gorian is blocked on the exit from trying to get the cut back. Not sure how pleased he'll be about that. Kirby, the back of this train as well, is looking very close. Pretty much pushing the Williams is that Alpine. We'll have to go on board with it in just a second. However, this battling is just too good. Round the outside, it's a switchback move once again. The two go side by side. Vapid and Tom Gorian side by side. A little bit of contact. Adam Lee's backed into that as well. However, we're going to go back to Ansmas because he's about to cross the finish line. We'll go back to that battle in just a second to see how that battle does shape up. Ansmas is going to cross the line to win the sprint race. However, who's going to get P2? This is a huge train of cars behind. Keywan's going to get a good thing. Here comes Vapid. It's going to be P2, P3. Keywan's going to get P4 on penalties with Adam Lee and Kirby having penalties. 2-second time penalties with Berserker. Scrub not too far behind. Nope, Scrub was a little bit further behind than that. Got us on another car there. Yeah, that's why it just looks weird. Yeah. So that is the sprint done and dusted. As we're just waiting for NT to cross the finish line, obviously. Struggling a little bit there, but he has managed to finish the race. So Fresh, the only retirement of the sprint race, so he will start from P13 and at the back. But the sprint race will be a lot more interesting to see how it actually comes out. NT is coming now to finish the final lap. Not the best race from him, but he will obviously hope for better in the main race. The winner of the sprint race, Ansmas, picks up 3 points, Vapid picks up 2, and the final point goes to Tom Gorian in the Alpine as Checo has left the session, so we'll see if we can get him back in. Just going to see. Ignore the party invite checkup. Sorry about that. So the rundown of the grid, mostly not a lot changed in the front lots. Antsman's wins from pole position in qualifying, and we'll start from pole in the main race alongside Vapid in the front row. It's going to be Tom Gorian and Keywon on the second row in the Alpine and the Aston Martin. Adam Lee and Kirby P5 and P6 taking the sting from penalties, dropping down a couple positions. Scrub and Berserker Mark 7th and 8th, very close on pace. With Checo and Scott 9th and 10th. Senna in 11th, up 2 positions from where he started. NT down a few positions from 8th where he started. And then obviously So Fresh down 1, but did DNF from the sprint. So, as we now await the drivers setting everything up, we're just going to have to wait for Vapid to now get the grid lineup all set up for the main race. Just going to be the 5. This is going to be the 50%, so 27 laps around this Paul Ricard circuit. Obviously not the most historical layout in terms of what is held the sort of IRL real life F1 Grand Prix around in France. We obviously names like Manicourt come to mind. Obviously Manicourt I believe is a lot more of a technical circuit rather than this. This is kind of one of your more run-of-the-mill modern circuits that's got a lot of runoff areas, and you can speak to a few people and see exactly what they say about that. But it's just interesting to talk from chat what people think about sort of what their favourite sort of French track actually is in terms of the races they've watched from it. It'd be interesting to hear in the chat what people have to say on that sort of thing. All seven viewers in the chat at the moment. Hopefully everyone is enjoying the action. That is just a small taster of what is to come. Hopefully the battling is the same. Obviously, I've seen very good battles around this track in the league races I have done commentary with. There's Scott back in the lobby for him to retake his car. So Fresh is now in the Williams car, in the right car. Obviously didn't pick his car once before. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see how it goes. Obviously, Antsmas wasn't really challenged in the first race. He kind of just pulled away from Tom Gorian. Tom Gorian not really appearing to have the pace. But if I'm like, hello, Key1. Normally it would be me and Button. He would normally be the head commentator. Now there'd normally be some fancy graphics, but because it's just me this week, it's just off of the Xbox. Good old faithful, I suppose. But yeah. Obviously Key1 I do know very well from obviously my team owner in another league, in XL I believe. So obviously starting P4 for yourself, a very good qualifying place to be. Hopefully you can turn that into potentially a podium in the main race. I don't know if you raced last week or not, Key1 or not. Interesting to know how you did if you did. Your faithful Xbox, yes. I'm looking at getting into light stream and getting some more sort of graphics and stuff set up for my own thing. Yeah, P9 and P4 ain't bad. Yeah, taking advantage of a few penalties here and there as well from obviously that. The one thing is to say that it's going to be a lot more evident in this session more than the other one because of the nature of how easy it is to actually get it. Cal predicting some rain for the race. I mean, we did see it was very dark in the sprint race, so it'll be interesting to see how it actually goes. Because obviously we don't know what the weather is going to be. Right, yeah. Yeah, I can understand why you don't want to do Zandvoort. It's a love-hate track for certain people. Yeah, as I say, I think Keon, you actually asked me for a link to the page. Obviously, at some points the racer is reserving the league for certain things, but yeah. Obviously, taking the place of Cal who's normally here. Cal, who's actually doing a bit of dog sitting at the moment, in terms of looking for his dog. I forgot to actually. Yeah. This is kind of what happens with me. You tend to get a lot of sort of really just waffling, really. It's just the way I normally do commentary. If I don't stop speaking, then it's just long pauses. It just tends to happen that way. I believe Will was unavailable for real life reasons this week. Let's try just incredibly boring. Here overtakes are actually possible. Yes, there's enough track space to do it. I mean, it is still possible to crash, considering how weird the grip on this game can be. And if being yourself, having issues with your wheel deciding to randomly use force feedback or related things along that sort of thing. But as I say, I believe if you were not watching the race last week, obviously there was no XCR last week from Imola due to, I believe, there was insufficient numbers. So hopefully we will have that race this week, or if that's getting moved to the end of the season. So it's going to be if someone here who is also an admin from XCR can confirm, they can actually say about that. So as I say, we're just messages obviously to all the drivers. Remember about your setups that you're running to reload them. Nobody wants to be on preset 3 around here. Let's be 100% honest. You want a preset 4 around here? Due to no race and XCR makes Big sad. Yeah, insufficient numbers key. That's what it was. There wasn't enough numbers to actually start, really. As I say, with all the waffling going on, we will be going into the next session. Let's see how the drivers tackle the main race itself. Just waiting for the drivers to ready up. If anyone wants to, as I say, Cal's already put his predictions in at some point for Ant-Smaz's victory in the main race. Obviously, he's said that F1 greater than football, less than football, greater than, less than. I'm not sure which one that is, Key. Yeah, I think that was the reason why. I wasn't around doing a lot of that era, Key, but yeah, the engines and stuff. Oh, Cal, I was gonna say, Cal, you said you predicted some rain for the race. I was gonna. Do you have the lottery numbers, Cal? Do you know the future? Be interested to know if you did. As I say, it is very wet, so obviously all of that is thrown straight out of the window. So let's just see, is it intermediates or full wets? Oh, full wets, that's going to be fun for the drivers to negotiate. So a track that some of the curves are already a little bit lethal are going to be even more lethal, as well as some of the runoff areas. That's an interesting one. Obviously, Key brings it up in the chat. Obviously, going back to sort of real life F1. Obviously, 2000s cars, obviously, better aspiration, that sort of thing. The V10s and the V8s, sort of down about that era. Be interested to know what everyone's favourite era of the sort of engines were. I do not have the lottery numbers. Well, you managed to predict this, so that's like complete guesswork, and I suppose the lottery's also complete guesswork. I hate everything. No TC is hell in the wet. Yes, that is. Remember, you're on no TC, so I think you and Berserker Mark, as well as Scrub, are on no assists, if I'm correct. No Scrub is on no assists, but I'm not sure about. I know and I think Berserker Mark is all. I'm not entirely sure on that one. As yeah, we're just waiting for the drivers really to ready up. So if anyone, as I say once again, if you haven't already grabbed your refreshments for the race, we will be starting. We've not got a start time yet, so just have to wait and see. Obviously, in these conditions, you can underfuel just a little bit. But you got to be careful how much you underfuel, because these cars, it is sometimes a little bit difficult to save fuel. Some tracks are easier than others, but obviously in the wet you do short shift a little bit more. Technique that a few of the drivers probably will be using a lot. Obviously no DRS will be enabled in these conditions. I'm just going to have a quick, we will be starting at 52, so we're starting in just over a couple of minutes from Vapid. So it's going to be interesting to see. Is that how everything goes? It's key in the chat. I'm going off topic a little bit. It does happen a lot. Got my refreshments, I say. So a nice cup of tea at the moment. Interesting. Obviously, it's very much off topic, but in terms of caffeine, tea or coffee in the chat, fire away. Let's just see. Let's just throw out there and see what people actually say about that. What we're doing, waiting for the drivers to ready up. You'll do alright, Key. You just need to survive, I'd say. You will start to worry about word which is not coming to me. Spray, that's it. Don't have to worry about spray. I haven't done any wet practice. Oh, fun. Nothing like learning on the fly, I suppose. As there we go, the countdown timer is on for the main race. Obviously very different approaches to this for the grid, but it's going to be interesting to see who can profit in these wet conditions, and let's see what driver setups work the best in these conditions. Come on, Key, be a bit more. You can be a bit more positive than that. You'll be all right. As I say, just waiting for the drivers to ready up, and obviously we will have the formation lap. It's going to be very important to get heat into these wet compound tyres, as it's going to be very fun for them trying to do so, as we have the manual, the immersive formation lap back. Leave that on screen because obviously we won't know yet, because everyone's going to be on the wets. Not much strategy in this game at the best of times, but there's even less when I suppose it's actually raining. That strategy may well be correct on screen, but not fully. Atsman's taking this very easy, very gingerly, I'd say, as we're heading round. As you see, the back end is wiggling a little bit. That I think these long acceleration corners are where you're going to see the driver struggle a little bit if you're potentially on no traction. So it's going to be very interesting to see how it all goes. As I say, obviously, I'm not sure if it applies here, if it's real life, where you have to stay with them in car into the car head on the formation lap. So I believe everyone is adhering to that rule at this moment in time. I believe someone has managed to spin, or there's been something happen at the back there that has caused an almighty mess at the back in the formation lap. So that's good omens for the main start. Obviously it's going to be difficult to keep track of all the battles at the beginning, but we'll try my best. Ooh, the curb's obviously there. Exactly as I say right there, Ansman's proving my point. You do not want to have too much of the curbs, because the curbs will, as I say, make attempts to kill you. So we will get this race underway in just a second. I will put test down. Let's get ready to use all of that energy as here comes Antsmas using it, just getting a little bit more tire temperature into the tires. Got to be careful not to spin. Be careful to form up in the grid box correctly. Get the best advantage you can. Indeed he has. Vapid is formed up properly as well. Oh, that's someone who's over... Nope, it's Key1 who's realised he's in the wrong pit box. He's missed the pit box and... Oh, Key1 has missed it, so has Checo. And so has So Fresh at the back and Berserker Mark. Anyway, the grid is formed. Give me a better camera angle than this. Codemasters 5, red lights. And lights out and away we go. Gingerly away from Antsmas. Vapid takes the lead of the Grand Prix with Tom Gordon looking round to the outside of that as it's 2 wide, 3 wide further back. Everyone has managed to get through. NT and Checo have managed to get through as well. Looks like NT has managed to get past Checo on the start. Antsmas has dropped to P3. Commodore making the move round the outside. Antsmas not suiting these conditions. Key1 drops to 5th, but only dropped 1 position. Looks like we have Kirby potentially trying to make a move behind. We have Scrub and Scott going side by side. Got to be careful in these conditions. These two leave each other enough space. That's I believe that is Key1. Yes, Key1's had a bit of an issue. That is it. Adam Lee has left the session, so he is not happy with that. We'll see if we can get him back in just a bit when it's calmed down just a little bit as Antsmas. We're going to go back to the battle at the front. Anything happening there? Antsmas being very gingerly on the start. But as I say, NT has dropped back, does have a little bit of a queue forming behind him. Key1 obviously, the back obviously, Adam Lee, as Antsmas is down the inside at Signe. And he's going to have the inside line for the next corner. However, I believe Tom Gordon has the better outside flowing run. As here we go. Round to the inside, outside. Antsmas is going to still be there. He's going to have to leave just enough space. Tom Gordon does get the move done. I believe Scott and Kirby going side by side. Berserker Mark, I believe Kirby does not have a front wing. Berserker Mark is potentially going to have a look at Scott there, but he's not going to be able to do anything. Antsmas is going to be once again very close. A bit of the wiggle from the back end of Tom Gordon's Alpine. Down the outside goes Antsmas. Obviously, in these conditions, Kirby's in the pits on lap 1 with wing damage. So that's unfortunate there for the second Alpine driver. Not the start he would have wanted. Antsmas very wide. Tom Gordon, this is allowing Vapid to pull away at this moment in time. 2.4 seconds. Tom Gordon keeping close. The only other battle really going on is Scott and Berserker Mark, who are trying to get past Scrub for what is P6. Tom Gordon keeping close to the back, obviously not using his ERS yet. You can use it, but you do not want to use it while you are still going up through the gears in the corners. Let's see if Antsmas is going to defend the inside. Potentially here, he may well do. No, he's not going to be close enough. Tom Gordon not being able to make any moves stick as of yet. As we're going to have, I believe that's a little bit of a mistake once again. A little bit of correction as well from Tom Gordon. That is going to cost him. Senna and So Fresh going side by side. Senna gets the move done. Can So Fresh come back at the Mercedes driver using a little bit of the battery? Senna's not really going to use any of it. He's going to defend the inside. So Fresh is going to go round the outside at Signe, try and get the undercut. Not going to be able to do it though, as here comes once again as So Fresh has now left this session. His AI is going to go down the inside. No, it is not. So we're going to have to quickly get a couple of drivers back into the lobby again. I have to see, where is So Fresh? There is So Fresh. And I need to get Adam Lee as well. There we go. Something's happened to Tom Gordon just a bit further up, by the way, because he's dropped out and Vapid is now starting to lose time to Antsmas, as down the inside is Scott W. That is a very aggressive move on Scrub. Scrub did leave the inside open there. We just came back and saw the move there happen. Let's see if Scott can now defend it as Scrub. He is obviously a little bit more of a conservative driver. Will be looking to make the move on the straight, but obviously no DRS. This is all going to be on slipstream. Berserker Mark just behind as well, looking to potentially capitalise if both of these guys trip up on each other. Key1 and Senna. Key1 makes the move very, very easily. Scrub once again is going to use the battery. Is Scott going to use any of his? No, they're going to be too far apart. This is where, obviously in the dry, the DRS would make this bit of the Mistral straight very overpowered to make an overtake on with ERS and DRS. As here comes Scott. Checo is up to P5. Obviously his Ghost has done quite a bit. Well, no, not his Ghost. That was someone else. It was So Fresh who disconnected. So Fresh has dropped. Is indeed still behind. As here comes Scott. Scrub has dropped out of a second. Obviously no DRS. Berserker Mark looking at shaping up a move potentially soon. As Senna and Key1 are going to go side by side. Key1, I believe, has had contact with Senna, or he has ended up with a little bit of an issue there, as I believe So Fresh still is not back in this session yet. So to see if he can get back in. Checo runs very wide. It's going to compromise his exit for this next corner. Is Scott going to send it down the inside? Antsman's fastest lap, 0.8 of a second. Tom Gordon has lost a lot of time after an initial jump and a good start. It's now, can Scott make the move? The battle is going to be interesting in the front soon as Checo's a little wide at turn 1. This is going to compromise him for turn 2. Scott's going to get a good exit, a little bit of wheel spin at the exit though. Does keep Checo ahead. As Checo, oh, that's wide. I think he was trying to, he didn't know what NT was going to do in front, and Scott is going to, oh, NT I believe has spun, and that's 2 positions for Scott in one go. Checo is off track and having a little bit of an issue there. Is Checo going to be able to make any kind of re-overtake to get back past Scott? Little bit of a moment. Scott uses the battery as well. Can Scrub, who is just behind this train, try and get himself any closer in the Mercedes? No, I don't think it's going to be close enough. It's Senna and Berserker Mark. I believe Berserker Mark has spun. Key1 has also got past. However, we're going to go back to the front, see if Antsmaz can maybe try and make the pass on the Williams of Vapid Coupe. It's going to be interesting to see if he can do so, due to the nature that he, after a shaky start, only 0.4 of a second, half a second. It's gone up a little bit. There's a little bit of a wiggle from the rear end of that Williams. Let's see if anything will happen here. Obviously the gaps have extended out quite a bit. Obviously the wet, it already looks like the weather is starting to dry a little bit. So we could see intermediates maybe soon. If we actually, it's going to be crucial if we do go on to inters when it actually does come. It's not going to be close enough. Let's go back to Scrub. Scrub is not going to be close enough. A little bit of wheel spin, I believe, on the exit of the final corner for the Mercedes driver means he's not going to be quite close enough. We will switch back to Antsmaz, who's currently still all over the gearbox. Oh, a little bit of a moment there. It's going to cost him some time. It's almost cost him a second there. It has put him outside of a second, so I wonder if he's managed to keep himself there, but he's going to be in the dirty air range, which is not entirely helpful. So we're going to go back to Scrub, who's potentially going to make a move. Stick here. Scott has pulled away. It's a little bit of a mistake coming out of that corner for Checo. Let's see if Scrub can actually do it. Senna picks up the first penalty of the race. Big moment off the curb for Scrub. Not exactly ideal, where exactly he needed it. He needed a good run there, and he did not get it. So we'll go a bit further back now and see if Berserker Mark is a little bit of a moment there from Senna. I believe that was Key1 once again with the curbs. He is really not having a fun time with it. He wasn't sure about it to begin with. As we head into the race, obviously in the chat, as Adam Lee has rejoined back into the session again. As Matt, obviously you can still get a good amount of points. I believe it's points down to about top 12. So Fresh and Adam Lee, I believe So Fresh, that's Adam Lee, he's not yet got back in his car. So we'll go back, we'll come back to that when that actually does happen. Scrub once again getting close. He's not getting close in the right areas though, as Senna and Berserker Mark go side by side. Berserker Mark is going to get the move done. Senna, is he going to try and send it back down the inside? The Mercedes driver a little bit cautious. Obviously still learning some of the ropes of the game. Key1 is going to be looking behind this as well, and the Aston Martin obviously not had the best of times so far in this Grand Prix, but can make it up. However, we're going to go back to the front, as I believe Ansma's got very close to the back of Vapid. Obviously in these conditions, as per before, no DRS will be enabled. DRS obviously would have already been disabled due to the weather conditions, and in real life I don't believe they would have been raced in these conditions, as I believe we're going to see potentially an overtake between Key1 and Senna down the inside. Senna has the inside with Key1 on the outside. Senna does break a little bit earlier, and Key1 gets the move done. So going back to Yarel Ansmas, who is going to be very close. Vapid has to cover the inside line. This is going to slow down as Scott is out of the session. Could this be a safety car? It is on the straight, and indeed the safety car has been called. So, race is neutralised. So last week's, I believe, race winner is out of the race. So not the most ideal of races for Scott this week. Did not have a good race in the sprint either, so I believe he's going to probably drop off the top. This is going to be a chance for other people to maybe catch up, but it's obviously going to be very interesting to see how it shapes up. Let's see if either of the front runners do decide to come in for a potentially different change of tyres, or if they stay out. I believe you can stay out on a set of wet tyres, but you've got to be careful of the wear at the end of the race, because the wear could come back to bite you with the conditions. Neither of the front two have pit. Oh, so fresh, that is a drive-through for speeding under safety car Ansmas. I'm not sure about that pit lane entry. Obviously, you got to be careful of that pit lane entry. The pit lane entry is a little bit of an interesting one, considering that the tyres, obviously, I think Tom Gordon is also in, so this could be a thing. As there's so fresh, I believe he's just got two drive-throughs. That is very unfortunate. It is another set of wets for Ansmas, so he believes the weather is going to last a little bit longer, as it's going to be wets for everyone else as well who come in. I believe Scrub has came in, so Vapid opting to stay out on his used medium wet tyres. You were using mediums in these conditions. Be a maniac if he did. Ooh, so fresh has got a 5-second penalty for a collision with Adam Lee. I'm not sure what has happened there. That'll probably be reviewed at some point afterwards, I believe. So that's happened in the entry to the pit lane, so that's unfortunate for So Fresh, who already has two drive-throughs. Adam Lee, that is a bold call there from Adam Lee. We'll have to see how he gets on, because Adam Lee has opted for the intermediates. Let's see how that one goes. In the words of Dodgeball, it's a bold strategy, Cotton. We'll have to see if it pays off. On board with Adam Lee and see how he's faring with these conditions. So we won't be able to tell much just now, but Adam Lee does have to catch up to the safety car. Obviously, it'll be interesting to see. I believe Adam Lee, does he also have a time penalty? He is wheel spinning a little bit. Oh, Adam Lee's got a drive-through. Oh dear. Ooh, that's not going well for him. He's going to have to serve that under the safety car restart. So, obviously with the pack not yet caught up, Ansmas obviously on newer tyres is going to have to get those tyres up to temperature. That's going to be the most crucial thing. So it's going to be interesting to see how Vapid takes this restart. Waiting for everyone to form back up behind the safety car queue. So Fresh and Adam Lee will have to serve drive-throughs after the safety car does come back in. That's quite clearly obvious there, Key, that you don't like the wet. Considering though I suppose the safety car has saved your race a little bit. There are a couple cars behind you that are going to have to serve drive-thrus, but it'll be interesting as obviously Senna the only one with the major of the time penalties. So fresh, I believe, with 2 drive-thrus and a 5-second penalty for a collision with Adam Lee. As now, as I say, we're just watching everyone just cycle round behind the safety car, waiting for the cars to form back. Oh! That's very weird. How has that happened? He's just like he's warm tyres and he's just... Well. That was unexpected. Maybe the Inters are actually the right tyres. That was on new tyres and he just completely lost it. That is a very strange incident to have happen there. So Key keeps getting the minus 5 second delta. That's fun. Tom Gorian has been promoted into P2 with that. I can't describe how that happened. It just seemed like the back end just completely went for Ansmaz. Let's see if we can actually get one of them in to just talk about exactly all the stuff that happened. I do not believe that Ansmaz will want anything more to do with this race, so it's probably no point in asking him. Oh, Tom got it. Oh, yep, I think there was an illegal overtake there that happened. So we're just, as I say, the safety car is going to be out probably this lap, and it'll probably come back in, I would assume, at the end of this lap. That there. Safety car is indeed in this lap. Now just waiting for the draw. Obviously, Vapid will control the pace on the restart. It's going to be interesting to see how Vapid and Tom get on against each other, because these two are... let's just say sometimes at loggerheads with each other. So this is going to be interesting to see how this restart goes down between these two. Just knowing the fact that these two do not always get on. Don't know if some of it is just jokes, but let's just say there could be some fireworks if things happen, because Tom Gorin is known. Vapid obviously not was known, but Vapid has not yet gone. He's probably going to go now, I would assume. Indeed he has. Checo's been caught out a little bit. Scrub, I think MT is trying to make a move on Scrub. Couldn't overtake before the start finish line. Is he going to go down the inside? Scrub may well allow him to have the inside. However, Scrub's going to have the outside line for the next corner. NT tries to cut back round the outside. Tries to make the move and try and get back past. he's going to be able to make it stick NT, and there's going to be a huge gap already. Let's go back to there, as I believe Kirby and So Fresh have gone side by side a little bit further back. Obviously So Fresh is going to have to serve that drive-through penalty, and the other one as well, which he also got. As here's Tom Gorian, he's going to have a go. He's going to use the battery. Let's see if Vapid, who is also using the battery, can keep him behind. Kirby and Adam Lee also going to battles just behind. And Tom Gorian looks to the inside, does not manage to make it stick though. So we're going to go back to Scrub, who's in a battle with NT, Key1 and Berserker Mark and Senna, who is just keeping himself in the mix at the back of the train there. Yes, you can see the Mercedes there. We're going to go back and jump on board. So we have a yellow flag. I believe that is So Fresh, who's once again not had the best of times on that safety car restart. Obviously there's a little bit of a moment there from Tom Gorian on the curb, does manage to save it, does lose a little bit of time. We're going to go back to Scrub, who's going to be very close to the back of NT. NT at the moment is just about hanging on to DRS, or about the second mark. Oh, a little bit of a snap. Key1 would have probably seen that, the rear end snap a little bit from the Mercedes, and could potentially take advantage of it. Was 2 tenths at the front for briefly, is now back down to about 4. Let's see if there's anything going to happen here between these guys here. I believe no, we're not going to see anything here. Tom Gorian obviously is on the fresher wet compound tyres. Let's see if anything will occur out of that. Tom Gorian is still close, the closest at the moment of anyone in the field. Obviously the safety car restart is Checo is still outside of a second, but holding on well to that position, with NT in P4 not too far behind. Little bit of a moment from Vapid in the Williams. Let's see, we're going to go look back from the Williams driver. Will have to use the battery, will have to defend the inside line. Here comes the Alpine of Tom Gorian, does move to the inside, does cover that off. And that is not going to be anything once again. NT looking for the move a little bit further back as well on F1 Checo. He's not going to be able to make it stick there, as it looks like Scrub as well. He's looking at the back of these two battling, as it looks like Tom Gorian and Vapid are going side by side. Tom Gorian trying to go for the cutback. He's going to get the inside line, however Vapid's going to have the better line for the outside. Oh, a little bit of moment from Tom. It's going to allow the Williams back around the inside. We'll have inside line for the next corner. Can Tom Gorian, the Alpine, swing it around the outside? Can he get a cut back? He's going to be on the outside. He may have inside once again on the Williams. Tom Gorian going to be looking very, very closely, practically pushing that Williams through the final corner. The second to last corner, as Entina picks up a time penalty. That could be crucial for him. Scrub will probably have seen that, and those he doesn't have to do nearly as much work now, as I believe Vapid now did have to use a lot of battery there, as I believe that is another time penalty there, as Key1 is looking for a move on Scrub. These two very good mates outside of racing, so these two obviously will give themselves a fair bit of respect. And then in front, obviously Scrub can see exactly what's going on with NT and Checo. Checo obviously with that NT with that time penalty is going to cost him a little bit. Tom Gorian, I think, has had his chance for a little bit and has dropped back out of his second once again. He's kind of bouncing around at the moment, but he's not as close as he once was. NT is going to be very close. Can he use some of the battery here? Checo is pretty much depleting the entirety of the battery. NT will be able to see that exact same thing, although I don't know in these conditions because of the wet. He won't be able to see the rain light obviously being on will mask the fact that he is low on ERS deployment with the Mercedes and the Aston Martin until just behind Key1, getting very close to the back of Scrub. He's going to use a little bit of the battery, and is Scrub going to be, Scrub probably won't have to defend this into Senior with Key1 just behind the battle at the front as well. While we watch, I think just in front here, I think NT was thinking about shaping up a move there. Checo can chill just about see those two in front, and there goes NT. NT spun out, and there's the rear slide. That's unfortunate for NT. He was in a really good position, and he has just left the session, so we'll see him get him back in just a minute when there's a little bit less going on. It's now Tom Gorian. Look, Checo is still about 2 seconds back. He's the Aston Martin's looking very good at the moment. Here comes once again Tom Goring. He had to wait for a couple of laps with a couple of not very good laps. With, as I say, we can see Cal in the chat cheering on his teammate in P3, holding on from what is now going to be Scrub in Key1. Just behind Berserker Mark, just behind as well with Kirby, 6/10 back behind him. As it looks like Tom Goring, is he going to try and shape up? But the thing is, you don't really, obviously in these conditions you've not got DRS. It is all about slipstream. You have to be as close as you possibly can. But the thing is, the closer you get, the more dirty air is going to affect the actual front end grip that your car does have. Adam Lee and NT, I believe NT is into the pits. Tom Goring is going to try and go for move. Vapid is probably going to have to use his battery once again. Here comes the Alpine. You can see that car get closer and closer in the rear view mirror. But in the rear wing, that Alpine gets closer, but then is not able to make it stick. It looks like Berserker Mark and Kirby are going to go side by side. It's a little bit clunking over the curbs from Kirby, a little bit further back. Berserker Mark, a little bit of rear sliding. I think Scrub and Key1, I think Scrub has made a mistake. He's got a little bit of rear traction loss coming out towards Signe, and Key1 has made his way back up to P4. Pretty much exactly where he started. Really, from doing not an awful lot apart from just keeping on the track. And at some point as well, I've missed it, Vapid has lost the lead to Tom Goring. I don't know if there was a little bit of a slide from Vapid, but I don't know if I can see any damage on the front of that car. And no, there is no damage in the front of that Williams. He is coming into the pits though. It could be the tyres going off, and I think that Tom Goring now does have the race, will have the race lead. And let's see, looking a little further back, 1.8 seconds, it's going to be 5 seconds or so. Checo's now up into P2, looking very good for him. Not quite looking like he has the pace of Tom Goring. Scrub looking like he's going to get very, very close once again to the back of Key1. However, he does have I think Berserker Mark as well. It looks like there's going to be a bit of a train here as Berserker Mark, obviously with that little bit of rear end traction loss at the end just before Signe, then the second sector. Last lap is going to be looking to make amends for that, as Key1 is now up to P3. So a good result, a good recovery, all things considered. The two Aston Martins now nose to tail. Let's see if there will be any swaps, as there's So Fresh for ignoring the drive-through penalty has been disqualified. So obviously was not paying attention to that, as So Fresh is now out of the session. Will finish in P13, little bit wide from Checo. This is going to allow Key1 to potentially make a move. I wonder if Checo, is he going to defend this at all? Wouldn't really, obviously at the moment looking like Key1 is the quicker driver and could go after Tom Goring for what is going to be P2. If the two Aston Martins can work together, well, as we're talking about that as well. Kirby as well, looking very close, looking like Key1's going to try and go for the move up the inside. I think there has been a swap there between the two Aston Martins. So Scrub now is going to be close. As an R-time penalty to Adam Lee. I believe that's 6 seconds and on track penalties anyway for him. A 5-second penalty would have been served at some point. However, Vapid is on inters, so now it may look like the wets will soon be dropping off. So this could be an interesting play, as Scrub is going to get very close to the back of Checo. Checo looking like he could be in a little bit of trouble here unless he uses the battery. Try and close up Kirby as well, just sitting in the distance there of the Mercedes, just waiting to see if anything does happen further back. I think there are some large groups going on. Can Key catch up to the back of Tom Goring? They have lost a little bit of time, I believe, with that swap, as Tom Goring now is leading by a fair bit, and Key is on 14 lap old hot wet tyres to Checo's 8. But there is a big difference in pace between Checo and Key. Obviously Checo not happy with these conditions, as is very evident by that big snap. They're going to go side by side. Scrub will lift off to try and get a better exit. This is going to be very telling now. I believe Key1's dropped back down again. I believe that was to do with curb assistance once again. So Key, from a really good position, was looking really good there again. Has spun and has dropped back down to P6. As I say also as well, talking about all of that, Senna P7 looking good as well. However, he has Vapid gaining very rapidly on the back of that Mercedes. The Mercedes powered Williams versus the Mercedes car for the battle there. Checo very wide, a little bit. Would have been interesting to see if he got just a warning for that or not. Scrub down the inside, sees an opportunity. Is Checo gonna try and resend it down the inside? I believe not, as I believe that was Kirby trying to look for a move. Didn't get caught out, I do believe, a little bit by the Aston Martin over where the Aston Martin's car positioning was going to be. A little bit of a moment there from Kirby. However, he's going to be down the inside into the final corner. He's going to have just enough space. Checo losing the space. The two Americans go side by side. However, Checo's going to get the better run as Kirby had absolutely nowhere to go with his run. Can Kirby now make the move down the inside? Is he going to try? No. There is a mistake from Checo. He's going to run a little bit wide. Checo's going to have to concede the position here. And Checo does indeed concede the position. However, Berserker Mark and Kiwon, who obviously spun, who are still there. The rain looks like it's staying about the same now. The intermediates though, look at it, the gap. Vapid is closing. Senna, that's another time penalty for him. So 9 seconds at this moment in time standing for Senna. That's going to drop him down behind Vapid. But he will still be ahead of Adam Lee. Obviously Adam Lee serving those. Look at Kiwon's. Look at what he managed to get. Is there's a time penalty for Checo? That can now be very costly for him, as Kiwon got a great run coming out of that first corner onto the corner before the Mistral straight. Nothing really happened there though. It's another mistake from Checo there, and I believe that's going to allow Berserker Mark. However, Berserker Mark was not close enough. Kiwon though is going to be very close. However, I think he wasn't able to get the grip that he really wanted to. However, we're going to see an interesting battle of how the difference is between the intermediates and the wets soon, because Vapid is catching up in the battle for P7 up to XCR Senna, and it's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out. As here comes Kiwon. He's going to try and go round the outside of Berserker Mark in the Alpha Tauri. Alpha Tauri is going to have the inside line. However, it's going to be a little bit of a compromise for Berserker Mark. Berserker Mark is going to hold the position though. Kirby is just about holding on. Whoa, big slap of oversteer from Kiwon. It's currently 4th and 6th now for the two Aston Martins. However, I believe that Checo will drop down at the end due to race post penalties. Big wiggle there from Berserker Mark. That's all the invitation Kiwon needs to go round the outside. That's an interesting one. He's got a 5-second penalty for... Oh, I know what's happened there. He's went to the pit lane and he's got a 5-second penalty. Good one, Cody's. I believe you had 2 drive-thrus, Alex. It came up with 2. You obviously didn't see the second one, unfortunately. Senna's into the pits. He's on wet tyres once again. Out behind Adam Lee. Adam Lee there is going to be out behind there. It's Kiwon. We're going to go back to that. Now, once again, back with the battle of the two Aston Martins. The two Aston Martins now 4th and 5th. Berserker Mark still behind as well, just holding position there at the moment. Kirby, though, is looking to close up on Scrub, who's currently now found himself now in 2nd place. You can't really write exactly where this race is going to go. A little bit of a moment for Scrub coming out of that corner. However, Kirby not able to really do anything with it. So we're going to go back to the battle here with Berserker Mark, as Berserker Mark has not quite got the traction coming out of that corner, and it is really costing. Scrub is not really gaining any ground, and at the moment it's looking like Tom Gorian may well have this, although that's really, don't say anything too soon, because we know what Curse of the Commentator is like. Kiwon back down the inside. It's going to be down the... Checo does indeed leave him the space, and they're back into... Now they swap positions once again with Key in 4th and Checo in 5th. Berserker Mark just behind in the Alpha Tauri, looking to make a move on at least one of them. Ah, yeah. Yeah, you had 2 drive-thrus according to the spectator view. I saw 2 come up for some reason. So I think there must be there's a game glitch somewhere there. That's unfortunate for you, Alex, though. Not a good weekend, but obviously we'll hopefully you'll for this come back stronger next week. So now Checo is still close to the back, but obviously he's making a few mistakes here and there. Maybe his setup is not fully designed for this. Kirby just hanging on. Adam Lee, that's a 5-second penalty. Oh, I believe we have a VSC. Adam Lee is back into the pits and is going to put on probably another set of intermediates, because at this point he's nothing to lose down in 8th place. We have 10 cars left in the session from what was 13 starts. 5-second penalty for Senna. What is going on here with that? I think he's went into the pits again, and that's the same thing that's happened. That's... No, he hasn't gone in the pits. What is going on? Scrub as well, though, is going to have to be adhering to the delta as well as everyone else. Lap 18 of 27. Yeah, it's just unfortunate there for you, Alex, as there goes so fresh from the session. Obviously not a good day for the Williams driver. Obviously one Williams driver will score points, and that is going to be Vapid, but he's down in 7th at the moment, though. He is, as I say, we are now back racing, but the thing is the gaps are all about the same now. The closest battles at the moment, it looks like Berserker Mark is closing up on Checo still. Checo's fell out of range off Q1, obviously not had the best VSC restart. Obviously no one's managed to get any time penalty, any drive-throughs on this one, so they've all managed to get away with it. A bit wide from Checo as Q1's into the pits. Berserker Mark thought about sending it down the inside with the switchback there. However, not really anything doing, as I believe Q1 is going for a set of intermediate tyres. So that's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out for Q1, and if he comes out ahead or see how far, either ahead of Vapid or see how far behind Vapid he's actually going to be. As Checo, once again, I believe Checo's setup is for the dry and not for the wet. He is really struggling against his teammate. Senna's also really struggling to keep it within track limits at the moment. Tom Gorian cruising away at the front. He is just in a world of his own. He's been featured a little bit earlier on, but once Ansan's really disappeared after the crash with warming his tyres under the safety car, obviously that wouldn't have helped. Berserker Mark trying to get close, but not able to really do anything at the moment in time. The Alpha Tauri is not going to be close enough. Kirby as well is just hanging on to Scrub within a second. But I don't think we're going to see any DRS this race. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out with just pure slipstream. Berserker Mark does get close at the end of the straight, but he's not making that stick where he really needs to make it stick. He is having a short shift, but even with short shifting you can see Berserker Mark is struggling a little bit. He's on 12, obviously 12 lap old tyres now. These guys always pit underneath the safety car for new sets of tyres. Vapid is, he was slowly catching for a bit. However, I don't know if it's about the point where the tyres are about the same, or these wets will become slick wets, where there's not really much left on them eventually. As Q1 is indeed, obviously we knew Q1 was on a set of wets. Vapid down in 6th, not exactly the ideal thing considering where he was in terms of 2nd place on the grid. Obviously Antsman's probably even worse for him in terms of everything that happened, but just see if everyone can actually... Everyone at the moment everyone that's still left is doing a good job of not making too much contact or managing to keep it on the track exactly where you need to be keeping it. But as I say, at the moment, this is really your closest battle at this moment in time. On that. Well, no, this is kind of still your closest battle on track at the moment. Adam Lee is going to be very close as well to the back of Senna. We may well give some coverage to that in just a second. See how that gets on. Oh, I believe Adam Lee is already making the move. Nope, that's the wrong car. Yep, Adam Lee on the on 1 lap fresher tires has managed to make it stick against Senna. So as Adam Lee sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix down in 8th place, obviously he might be a little bit annoyed with how his drive has gone as well. 7 laps to go, or rather 8 laps to go, including this one. Kirby has closed in a little bit, so we're going to have a look and see how that's going just a little bit further up in the battle for what is P2. Scrub is, at the moment, just holding on, but Tom Gorian is just pulling away. His setup is obviously very much suited for these conditions, and it very much is definitely looking like, as I say, he's currently walking away with it. As Berserker Mark, he was close for a second there. He was under a 10th behind Checo. Checo struggling a lot more in the tyres than what Berserker Mark is. Even though Berserker Mark is having a few moments of his own, he does no pressure from behind, but Vapid is closing in the battle. This eventually is going to start bringing Vapid in closer and closer. But in the time we've got, I don't know how much more time Vapid can really gain. Berserker Mark, can he do anything using a little bit of his DRS? Oh! Oh, that is a big moment. The ERS being deployed just spun the rears up, and that has just completely put pain to Berserker Mark's race. And I believe he is just I think most of the front wing is gone. I think he's forgot to stop using the ERS as well, which is not exactly ideal. Key1 in the Aston Martin sets the fastest lap of 45.6, down in 7th place. But now this is your closest battle on track. It's Scrub versus Kirby, and it's about a second or so. Kirby does close up in certain places, but then Scrub responds, managing to pull away. It looks like Scrub has a little bit more straight line speed potentially. Looks at actually, but looking like at the top end, it looks about the same. About 193 miles an hour down the first part of that Miso straight for Kirby. We'll have to check that with Scrub, who is there as well. As it looks like Vapid and Key1. Looks like Key1 as well. Key1's in the back, looking at this as well, while we see the battle rages on between Kirby and Scrub. It's Key1 gaining ground on Vapid, who's 1.6 seconds behind Berserker Mark. Obviously Berserker Mark now with the damage, it's not going to be helping him in it. Really, he's probably just being hampered now, and here comes Key1. It's looking like the wets are still working at the moment for Key1. Obviously those are fresh in comparison to 7 lap old inters. The inters don't last nearly as long. Key1 is going down the inside. Vapid will leave him the space. However, he may try and undercut back underneath. However, now Key1 does need to get past this car here. Kirby is in the pits for what is, I believe, a set of intermediates. However, both these cars need to clear, and I believe that there's no front wing on that Alpha Tauri. Indeed, that is correct. No front wing. And I believe Kirby, that may well be for a set of inters. No, it's another set of wets actually. So that's an interesting call there for Kirby. Obviously not thinking the conditions are there yet, as now Key1 is back into P5 and has managed to overtake his Vapid, is also past his Berserker Mark, goes into the pits, obviously changes front wing, and Key1 is back into 4th again. You really can't predict a lot of what's going on here, because one moment anything could actually happen. A strategic safety car now could honestly completely throw this race into complete chaos, as Tom Gordon has not really had to do anything for a lot of it. Checo is miles behind, but he's in P3, and he does have the gap to Key1, so either one of the Aston Martins is going to get on the podium at this moment in time, with Vapid not too far behind. Vapid is struggling a little bit, and Key1 as well struggling with the rear grip as we head out of that corner there, as I believe Kirby has come out in P6 on new wets, thinking those wets are not going to go the distance. So we're going to go and have a quick old look at the tyres. Obviously you can't really tell. You can tell those are starting to bald a little bit. There's not as many grooves in those tyres as to what there were. The grooves are smaller now than what they were when those tyres would have been brand new. But Vapid though is now struggling to keep up. Kirby is, on these fresh wets, is catching up to the back of Vapid now. Vapid, this gamble on the inters is paying up partly, but it's not really catching him up anytime soon quicker. And now Kirby and Vapid will go into battle as we head to through the exit of Signe and into the final sector. Let's see how this shapes up here, as now Checo, he's still got the gap at the moment, but Key1 is catching. However, this Kirby is going to be a massive spanner for Vapid, because now Vapid has to look behind him and try and hold back the Alpine, who is on much better tyres. You've got to be careful of taking that line there as well. You do not get a corner cutting penalty for that, as you can get a warning there very, very easily, as Kirby is going to be very close. Look at how much, I can tell how much those rears were spinning up from Vapid, as you can hear the engine just struggling there, as Kirby's going to go for the move down the inside. Is Vapid going to give him the inside? Yes, he is. Can Vapid come back? It's Kirby. It's a pain penalty though, as he clunks across the curbs at turn 1. So that now means that Vapid has to stay behind if he can keep within distance. However, that means that Key1 is safe behind for just now, and so is Checo for what could be P4. As Checo though is still losing a little bit of ground here and there, but he is keeping just about those 3 seconds over, but he is losing ground. Vapid, he is struggling a little bit with those tyres. He's losing time. He's not got much ERS deployment really to play with either, and it looks like the Alpines are going to get some very good points here this time around. And I believe, having seen already, I don't think that Tom Gorian has won a race in this league this season yet. So it'll be good to see him on top of the top step of the podium and actually see what he has to say afterwards, potentially. As it looks like we're going to have, Vapid has already dropped, and look at that Alpine just get further and further away from Vapid. Vapid is just struggling on those tyres, and there's just nothing that he has with 4 laps to go, including this one. 4 laps, including this one, because it's 3 laps including this one. Yeah, that makes sense. 3 laps, yeah. I can math, honestly. As Key1 is now closing back in on his teammate, I believe there won't be a fight here from Checo. Checo's on 16 lap old wets. The thing is, I have seen Tom Gamble on strategy in another league, the XCR league, that was around Japan, managed to outsmart and outfox Wilsey, who was the much quicker driver in that league, at the time, and was genuinely one of the quicker driver, but had to go into the pits for a fresh set of tyres thinking they wouldn't last, and Tom Gordon opted to stay out, and it won in the race. So really, he's pulling the same technique again. I'm just pulling away, but obviously not using too much of his tyres up. Obviously at this point, those tyres will not be looking in the best of conditions, as Key1 is going to be very close to the back of Checo. I believe Checo, obviously with nothing really to fight for now, I don't believe there's going to be much fight here from Checo. He's probably just going to let his teammate actually go. Not exactly the easiest job they're done. Checo now has to keep himself ahead of Kirby. However, they need to stay, not battle too much, to fall into the clutches of Vapid, who is within 3 seconds of both of them, who could jump up to 4th. So at the moment, your podium is looking like Tom Gordon, Scrub and Key1. Those guys, these two in front. Scrub has really, as I say, conservatively drove and has managed to really get the best out of that car. Mercedes on this track today, obviously with these conditions, obviously suiting a little bit. Key1 obviously saying he didn't really suit these conditions. However, it's looking good for him at this moment in time as well, as Tom Gordon will have a quick scout and see where Tom Gordon actually is in just a minute. As Vapid, Kirby is now going to be looking at the back, as Vapid now 3 seconds out of range once again. Kirby and Checo, if these two battle, this is going to bring Vapid back into the fray, so these two really need not to battle too heavily, as Checo now is on a huge amount of battery, more than what Kirby is on. Kirby on about 20%, and Checo is on about 75, just over. So Checo at the moment is looking good. He just has to spam it down the straights. 2 laps to go. However, he doesn't have the grip, not in comparison to Kirby. Kirby's going to fly past, and I don't believe there's going to be much fight from Checo here. Indeed, there is not. It is going to be P5 at the moment. He just has to stay ahead of Vapid. Although the gap has dropped half a second. Checo keeps close. Just has to not make a mistake. Vapid has closed in a little bit. Was 3 seconds. The gap is now 2.2. So at the moment, it's looking good for looking good for Vapid to get P5. At least back in this race, all things considered. Tom Gordon, as I say, the only one out of the top 3 who hasn't really suffered with anything that's happened within the race. Checking out uses the battery to try and get himself away from that and keep himself within touching distance of Kirby, but Kirby is going to be on newer tyres. Already looks like he's dropping out of a second. Checo could be an interesting battle here if Kirby can catch up to the back of Key1. Obviously Kirby won't be focusing on the penalty that's he obviously has for corner cutting. It's going to be very crucial, as Vapid looks like finally the conditions are coming to Vapid though. As finally though, it took a long time though. The gap's about 2 seconds. Checo can't pull the gap he's got at the moment, and only 2 as we head on to what will be the final lap next time around. Tom Gordon has started the penultimate lap. Let's go and have a look and see where the Alpine driver actually is. He's currently in the first sector going down the Mistral straight, just really doing his own thing and not really much else going on there. As it looks like Checo though, he's really going back to Checo while we just look at that. He is really struggling. He's probably going to drop down to P6. Adam Lee is miles behind him in P7, so he has nothing to worry about in that front. He just has to keep it on track. He will finish behind, obviously in P6, but it's going to be a good haul of points for Aston Martin right here. The gap is about 0.7 of a second, 0.6 as he gets closer and closer. Vapid on not much battery. Checo still on 70 odd. He was on almost nothing earlier on the race. He's not really using the battery. He probably should be using it to try and get himself away. To say, well, we're talking about that the gaps at the front just get bigger and bigger. I mean, Scrub does not have an answer for Tom Gorian. Tom Gorian is just in a world of his own and has been for most of this race. I mean, we had an exciting sprint race, and it's much like the real life Grand Prix to a point where the Paul Ricard circuit hasn't really produced all that much later on. Obviously the wet conditions may well have not helped on that front. Kiwon has brought the gap down under 10 seconds though, so it looks like he is closing in just a little bit, but it's going to come too late for Kiwon to actually make any kind of impact. He is dropping the gap. It's obviously younger tyres. Oh, that's very wide, as we're still looking on board the battle from Vapid's point of view, and he's still going to get very close to the Aston Martin driver. This is going to, as I say, Adam Lee is closing in just a little bit, but he's still over 20.8 seconds back from that car there. Let's see if Vapid can make the move stick this time around. 6 seconds, Kirby. He is not really catching. Kiwon is going to be safe there, as Tom Gorian has started on the final lap. I believe that is his car in the chicane between the two Mistral straights. So we're going to go on board in just a second, in just a little bit, as he comes into the final sector. Let's see if Vapid can make the move coming into this corner. We will go on board with the driver there. I believe that is a car at the back. I believe that might be NT at the back. I believe, yes, that is NT at the back, who's obviously in P10, just looking to get towards the end. If nothing is done here, if he can actually keep it, let's see. This is going to be Vapid using the battery and everything he has. Can he do anything about it? We're going to have to go on board with the leader in just a second. If nothing happens here, Vapid is going to be close. Not much battery deployment left, and it's going to be nothing there. However, we're going to go to the race leader and the race winner. Tom Gorian hasn't put a foot wrong, and since Ansmaz exited the race with the issues with heating his tyres up earlier on the race, it is going to be a win by almost 20 seconds for Tom Gorian. It is a domination of a race after what looked like it was going to be interesting early on. He does win by probably, it's not going to be just about 20 seconds due to the nature, as Scrub is really struggling on those tyres. 20 laps. Those tyres have been on that Mercedes the same distance as what they're obviously not. He just has to finish. Kiwon has closed the gap. It is much like Silverstone really with Hamilton and Verstappen, but it's not going to be enough for Kiwon. It's going to be second place, 2.5 seconds. Kirby will finish in P4. Good result there, a good double points finish. Checo, I believe Checo has actually spun. That's what's happened there. Kirby is going to come on P5. Vapid is going to come home in P6, and I believe it's going to be P5 for Vapid, P6 for Checo. Unfortunately, they end with a spin, but that 3-second penalty would have put him behind. He's still going to get P6 out of the race, and Ansmas has finally left the session. He was still there, and we just cut on to Adam Lee. Adam Lee, you just need to get yourself going, as Berserker Mark has indeed got past, so he gets P7. I think Adam Lee had a little bit of a spin issue with those tyres. Oh, you crashed before the finish line, I believe. That's not worked. That's going to be a position for Lewis. Yep, that's not worked for Adam Lee. I'm not sure what that was supposed to be. But he does get in the P8, obviously in the line, right there. So, that is your lot. Kiwon gets driver of the day. I'd be inclined to, mostly inclined to agree with that. However, my driver of the day is going to go to Scrub. Even though he wasn't really involved in a lot, he had to fight his way through the field just a little bit. He had to work a lot harder than what Tom Gorian did. Tom Gorian does indeed obviously win the race. Congratulations to him with Scrub in second and Kiwon in third. But it is going to be driver of the day from me to Scrub for the reasons of just a great drive from him, and even though he didn't quite have the pace of Tom Gorian, he had just enough to hold on to P3 or P2 from Kiwon in the Aston Martin. I'll take P3 after that. So your rundown of the grid: Tom Gorian will win for the Alpine team, with Scrub in second for Mercedes. In completing the podium, it will be Kiwon. Kirby will finish P4 with Vapid Coot in P5. His gamble on the enters not quite working fully out. Checo struggling a little bit with pace in P6. Berserker Mark P7 with Exir Senna P8. Good work from the other Mercedes to get good points as well. Adam Lee will finish in P9 with NT finishing in P10. And then rounding off, obviously that is your not everyone else outside of that. I believe Adam Lee and NT were lapped. ERL and Smaz, Scott and So Fresh were disqualified from the session. Get all the people into the party and get this all ready and sorted. So we'll go and just wait until it sorts itself out and we'll get them all in. Just waiting for Tom Grind to make his way back in. If you use it, lovely. Just make sure and remember include your audios in the stream so that everyone can hear you. Right, just need to get Tom into the game. Come on. Come on, Tom. I'm gonna leave, get this all set up. Right. So we'll come to the best. Alright. I need the cars and screen. Where is that winner? There, no. Where on earth do I find this now? This seems like a really stupid question, but where the hell do you find the cars? Like when you want to look at the car thing way?
So you want to leave real quick and then leave the session. You go to home.
Yeah,
Actually, no, it's F1 Live, sorry. You go on to virtual showroom.
Ah, thank you.
No problem.
Alright, thank you very much. Yep, make sure your audio's included, Tom, so everyone can hear you within the stream.
Yeah, what's up everyone in the stream, how we all doing? Woo!
I think, yep, everyone can be heard. So, we will start. Welcome to the podium, everyone. Congratulations, obviously top 3 here. We will start with P3, Key 1. Obviously a very up and down race from yourself. Talk us through exactly what happened.
So I went a little bit wild on the setup, as I thought I went a little bit wild on the setup, but turns out I went way too safe on the setup, so I could not catch anyone down the straight. So I had that to deal with throughout the entire race, and without any practice around France in the wet, didn't bode well.
Yeah, as I say, you still did fairly well, all things considered, considering you were up and down the field like a roller coaster really today.
Yeah, it's mostly my own fault that how many times I went down is because of the spinning. Some of them obviously I can't control, like the VSCs, the tyre wear, stuff like that, just general stuff that happens to everyone. But either way, the lap times that I was putting in were good.
As I say, is a good thing to hear. As I say, obviously it's your debut race. Obviously, racing only as a reserve within the league. A good haul of debut points. If you are racing again next week in France, not France. If you're racing again next week in
Australia.
How are you looking forward to it, or are you going to be just around for the odd few weeks?
Well, as you know, I've got a different league that runs on Saturdays, and it depends on which tracks are there. So, if it's Australia, I might have to back out because I don't like Australia.
I mean, it's a mixed track, I'd say, in terms of opinions, but As I say, if we see you around during the rest of the season, hopefully you do decently in the season, Key1. Congratulations on 3rd place. And so, 2nd place will be Scrub. Obviously, a very initially a very busy race from yourself, but it looked like as the race went on, it just got quieter, and you just kind of settled down into a nice rhythm there. But as I say, talk us through it from your point of view.
Yeah, obviously with me having the no traction, I've just got the line on sort of thing. So getting away is a bit difficult on this game, as everyone kind of knows when I haven't got the traction on. So it fell a little bit back there, and then it was just slowly but surely trying to catch that pace back up. I put myself down as 3 laps down on fuel, so at the start I was in a bit of fuel saving mode sort of thing. The safety car helped. And then it was, as you say, just trying to hold it together, and literally, like 4 turns to go, I get a puncture. So that's how Key ended up drastically catching us up.
I wondered what happened there. I thought I thought it was just the tires going off.
No. Well, I literally just after the long right-hander, then you've got the sweeping right-hander one, and you go into the little chicane area.
I know what you mean, yeah.
But it was just after that I got the puncture, so...
So much like Hamilton and Verstappen, but just in the wet, really.
Yeah.
Just not one of the same cars, but yeah. Obviously, Tom had the pace. Was there any way of you catching Tom today, or was it just when eventually you realised the gap was too big? Was it, and it wasn't coming down? You just kind of settled down for what you were for the 2nd place.
Yeah, like I say, managing my tyres, so obviously trying to stick to the 1 stop. I had considered jumping onto the 2 like Key and Kirby did, but I thought, right, stick it out and try and just bring the tyre life home. Obviously, kind of not within the limit of it as I got a puncture, but it's P2 nonetheless, and yeah, it was a good race to be fair. Congrats to Tom for his quite a outstanding lead and win of the race.
And as I say, your final one, obviously Australia up next. Obviously a revamped track. How are we feeling going into it?
Yeah, Australia's not a bad track. Like I say, it's the main bits that fully different. I know you've got kind of like the straight bit at the end of sector 1, but the main difference really is going to be the overtaking in sector 2. That new what was the fast chicane, now it's a little bit slower, but I fully expect a few overtakes going on down there.
Well, congratulations on your 2nd place, Scrub. We look forward to seeing you on the podium more throughout the season.
Thank you. And
finally, the race winner by a long shot. Congratulations, Tom. 20 seconds your lead was in the end, but talk us through it.
Feels quite weird now to be, winning an RFL again. I mean, if long-time viewers know, my last victory in this league was in Season 4 around Belgium in Tier 2. Wow, doesn't really seem quite real. I only started really practicing today in this race. Didn't really have any expectations. Maybe a top 6 finish would do. In the sprint race, qualified P3. Well, I think it was P2 actually. P2. Didn't really improve my final lap in qualifying. Just missed out by like 3-4 attempts to improve. But at the start, it was quite clear that Amaz in the dry was clearly the faster driver, and I just want to let that be known. I had the battle with Vapid pretty much at the end of the sprint race where he got me at the end, and it was great wheel to wheel battling. I had to make sure that Adam was gonna dive down the inside in the last lap because those types of things can happen, and I just wanted to cover that off. And then in the race, didn't expect heavy rain to be all race long. I had no practice.
You can thank Cal for guessing that, by the way.
Well,
you managed to guess that.
What,
he
heavy
called
rain
that.
The entire race?
Yeah, he called a wet race.
Wow, he must be really a fortune teller.
I asked him for the lottery numbers. He didn't have them.
Well, try him next week. But Yeah, heavy rain came to a shock to most of us in the party. Myself, Aunt Maz, Scott, Kirby. We didn't really do any wet practice at the start, so we had to make some setup arrangements. And then in the race, it was kind of weird, you know, at the first part before the safety car happened, and as we're stretching out by around about 4.3 a lap, and then the safety car came out. Once again, I think Fapper could have won today, but I think one of his weaknesses, to be honest, is his strategies. Just like me, sometimes, but I think if it wasn't for staying out and literally doing what me and Atma's done, pitting when the safety car came off in new wets and going to the end, Fapid could have been in contention for today's win. But what happened. Atmaz, surprisingly, I don't know what happened with Atmaz, but I was behind him.
He was heating his tires up,
Yeah.
and I think he just lost the back end.
Yeah, very uncharacteristic error from Atmaz there. He's a very quick driver, but you know, I was very surprised when he made that mistake and crashed, and not just crashed, but ended his race. Not just him, but Scott as well. I was also expecting Scott to be up there for the podiums or the wins, and then it was just me and Vapid. Pretty much, no disrespect to Checo or IS, but it was just me and Vapid today. I just wanted to make sure that, you know, I wasn't going to hold him up in the first 5 or 6 laps, just try to build the gap, and then I was just going to go for him. I think hopefully you captured a great battle between me and him that lasted from sector 2 onwards. Sector 2 to pretty much sector 3. I tried to go down his inside switchbacks. It was a great battle. Vapid pretty much edged me, and then he came in all throughout the second half of the race. It was just a guessing game bout. Apparently he put on Inters, and I just wanted to know if Inters was the quicker tyre, because you don't really know in these conditions, especially with the forecast being on approximate. So yeah, but apparently the Inters went the way to go, and I didn't really have any intentions of making a second stop. So with my previous experience with the tyre wear on this game, just the only option I had was to stay out, and yeah, I was just in the zone for like the last 10-11 laps and just trying to make sure I brought the tyres home. And you know, once you have that feeling of, you know, running the final corner and realising it's the final lap, and you know, you cross the line, and sometimes you just have to you know, zone yourself out and be like, oh wow, that's really happening. Yeah, that was one of the only times where I was really on pace today.
Well, as I say, congratulations on that. You won by over 20 seconds in the end. And well, the final question, obviously, we have the revamped Australia up next. What are your thoughts going into that?
Now, I will say this: I'm not going to be racing in Australia because unfortunately I have work. So,
right. So we'll see you for the week after then, which will probably be Netherlands.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite unfortunate.
Won't be here then.
I think it's a fun, exciting track, especially the relayout of the main straight. But yeah, quite a gutting to be missing Australia, considering that, you know, I've just got my my first win of the season, but you know, I'll be looking to
just when you got some momentum, I suppose.
Yeah, no, because when you're winning, you always want to try and come back again the following week and try and do what you did in the first time, you know, better than before. But listen, man, the race could have went anyway today. Antmaz could have won, Vapid could have won. I think, you know, if luck went, you know, a certain way, I think Kimi could have won. Scott could have won. It was probably in my mind, a 4-5 driver race. But you know, these certain things happen, and it's the way it is.
Well, congratulations, Tom, on the victory, and we'll see you when you come. Obviously, real life stuff and earning money is a little bit more important than playing a game at points, but yeah. But that will round out this week from RFL Season 8. We will return next week, hopefully, with fancy graphics if Will's around next week. If is the head com. We will be at the new look Australia circuit around Albert Park. So, until then, if everyone else wants to see their goodbyes before we end the stream.
I just want to say the support on the viewership on these live streams has been incredible since we came back. Viewership's been incredible, and yeah, if you want to check out the previous races, make sure you also subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also follow us on Twitter for future updates as far as Season 8 and Season 9 is concerned. Thanks for supporting RFL since we came back, and yeah, we look forward to your support in the next race.
And yeah, so on the note of good old trusty plug, we will end this stream. So with all that said and done, we will see you next week for Australia, and on that note, it's goodbye.